start. So again, welcome to What Impacts webinar on social value in action. Like I said, today we have some amazing panelists who shortly are going to have the opportunity to introduce themselves and also their organization and the work that they have been doing. What I'm going to do now is hand over to our CEO of What Impact, Tia Samalati, and she's just going to give you a brief overview of who we are, what we do, a bit about our platform, and then we'll move on to the panelist questions.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Tia, and I'm so happy to have you all here. It's a great group of people, and many who registered showed up, so we are very happy. So let's start a little intro where What Impact is at the moment, since we did a big launch in February and transformed our two-sided marketplace, which was like a closed marketplace, into national social value marketplace with a big open access layer. And this means that our platform now can host thousands of users as a freemium model and help to improve connectivity between the private sector companies and grant makers with the VCSEs nationwide. Yeah, so we are nationwide marketplace. We have put all the charities from Charity Commission on a nationwide map. Every charity has a pin on a map, which is now 330,000. To be honest, some of them are obviously grant makers, but lots of grassroots charities. Charities then claim the profiles and can fill them and complete them and start promoting their projects. We do the same for social enterprises. They use companies' house data to verify themselves. And then we have a third, like a profile type, which is any other type of organization, which might be unregistered group, or then like a school or club or PTA or so forth. All these organizations are now findable by using our filtering system that contains different beneficiaries and outcome targets and so forth. We are also at the moment compliant with the TOM system measures, so you can also find partners regarding what TOM measures you are delivering against. We don't only promote locally registered charities, which is one aspect of things. We also present those VCSEs who are locally relevant. So it's not always about postcode, and I think that today's participants in this panel kind of really prove that postcode can be anywhere where the head offices or so forth, but the impact that is being done can be happening in various places. And our system recognizes that aspect as well. So next slide, please. So we offer businesses who are usually using our platform as government suppliers to manage social value. So this is like a accountancy tool is for accountant, or kind of a CRM system is for sales department. This is a social value management tool for bid teams, social value delivery teams, and anybody who is involved in social value. So the teams can use the same dashboard and see what's going on in all the aspects of the platform. Next slide, please. And we offer comprehensive VCSE profiles, as I explained, different types, but also the dashboard for VCSEs to manage their partnerships, have communication on our chat channel, and give a robust kind of capability for them to report back with impact. VCSEs never pay. We are not taking any commission on donations. So we are, and we've been building the whole platform concept, working very closely with VCSEs. Next one. We have two ways of matching on the platform, and initial matching in both formats is at no cost. So this map and filtering system helps organizations to find other organizations, and you can easily see if you're, let's say, government supplier, look into VCSE partnerships, what kind of projects and what resource needs the particular organizations have for that project. This data is free to view. Also, we are allowing suppliers to make partnership offers, and this is our USP. If you have a social value criteria and public sector tender, and you wish to find instantly a partner for that, you take that criteria and fill in this kind of an offer ticket, and we will be then sending it out to our VCSE universe, and the VCSEs who feel that they are compliant with it will apply for that offer. Very effective, and initial offer making is also free of charge. We only then start to charge if the suppliers wish to validate these partnerships, move into more deeper communication relationship, have impact reporting, voluntary management. But I really truly encourage anybody to sign up and start testing this model, because it really works. And I believe today's participant VCSEs here have been getting a lot of connections through this system. Next slide, please. We have a comprehensive impact reporting developed together with NCBO Evaluation Services originally. It's a social impact logic model following a reporting template, which is semi-automated and easy for VCSEs to use. And why VCSEs? Well, because they are the ones who do the impact on the ground. They have the beneficiary data. They have the data of the success of their work, and they will use our impact reporting. They can also tag all these outcomes to specific frameworks in the impact reporting. We are aligned with the government social value model, shared prosperity fund targets, and TOM system measures. And now a little bit, kind of not really anymore about our platform, but maybe moving into kind of the roles of VCSEs and how to partner with VCSEs. This was in this webinar invitation that we talk a little bit about also government policies and how we see that they have affected on the partnerships. But let's kind of look at the resources first that you can exchange by partnering with VCSEs. There are, of course, monetary partnerships, like commercial partnerships, which might be donations. It might be commercial partnership. So as a government supplier, you are buying services from organizations, or you fundraise, for these organizations. But then we have various kind of volunteering kind of resources that can be kind of utilized in partnerships, and also so much potential in product and service package donations. And there is really a mismatch in the market, and has been for decades already, on this factor that it's very hard for VCSEs to know what they could request, because they don't necessarily know what the company has in terms of products or services. And then also vice versa, companies don't know what VCSEs necessarily need. And that's why this connectivity, conversation, and platform technology comes to play. Next slide. Well, you can skip this, although the testimonials are quite great. So just recently we had really lovely testimonials for a couple of companies. But anyway, a little bit kind of update on the VCSE sector and the status in the market relation to sustainable procurement and policies around it. Of course, the policies for social value has been around for several years already, but especially like last year and this year, the talks are turning towards the VCSEs and their role, and that's fantastic. I wish to emphasize that a lot of government policies and targets have been set up to try to increase the number of VCSEs as a direct supplier for government. And these other roles, like being a subcontractor for government suppliers or social value delivery partner, they haven't been acknowledged yet, like officially in literature or in various even institutes and so forth. And we are big advocates of taking this message further, because we know that 6% of government buying power goes to VCSEs currently, and there are more industries that VCSEs cannot kind of offer contract services than there are, but they have so many more opportunities to become a subcontractor or social value supplier for these direct suppliers, which might be then private sector companies. And that aspect should be emphasized, because there are tens of thousands of fantastic organizations who are expert in their field, and they wouldn't necessarily try to get the direct supplier status. They have so much more to give for these other contracts, and we believe that this is a huge opportunity for the whole sector to get more resources and funding. The good thing is that the public sector procurement is moving heavily now towards a method statement evaluation. So a few years back, there were a lot of contracts that were won by mainly, doing some, let's say, monetized calculations, and that was the only thing was evaluated. Now, many times, 50% of the social value scoring goes to the method statement, which means there's the verbal explanation of how the social value will be delivered and with whom, where the roles of VCSEs again come to play. Next slide, please. Yeah, so of course, we want more and more VCSEs to become direct supplier, but we as a platform cannot assist in that, but we can definitely assist, VCSEs to find like a company and corporate partners, whether they are SMEs or larger corporates, and form either commercial or then these kind of like a donation-based partnerships. Next slide. And why is so important that VCSEs will be worked with? They are crucial for our societal and environmental well-being, always have been. There is only certain level that like a government organizations can cater, like whether it's a council, central government, as a services for the people and for the environment. The next layer is usually the VCSE layer. And as an example, let's say somebody's suffering from cancer. NHS will take care of the certain level, the cancer treatment, surgeries, and so forth. But then usually the aftercare and all kind of support, what the person might be needing, is taken care of by VCSEs. And this applies to many other aspects, and hence VCSEs are crucial, important for any public sector body, and that's why also the public sector bodies who are looking to deliver social value through their procurement are now heavily focusing on these partnerships. Next slide. Okay, you probably followed earlier this year, National Procurement Policy Statement from the new government highlighted 5 major areas that they want to focus public sector procurement to, but also they're like key missions of the government in general. And it was a very delight to see these kind of 5 missions, because practically all of them need VCSE partners in order for them to happen. And this probably encourages a lot of like private sector companies to look for more and more for partners, whether it's from employment, whether it's kind of well-being of their employees, contributing to equal opportunity from the birth to the kind of communities, and improving the safety of the country and so forth. So there are lots of aspects that VCSEs can actually now support private sector to reach these goals, whether they are helping them to internally kind of become more social value compliant, or whether they are then helping to deliver that social value to the communities where they work. Next one. Yes, government social value model was also updated based on this National Procurement Policy Statement, and it also contains lots and lots of deliverables and these kind of like award criteria that actually are impossible for private sector to do without the support of VCSEs, and this was really encouraging. The next one. Also, TOM system, widely used by councils and some other organizations. It was also updated, and we have reviewed all the free TOM system measures, which are 30, but also 117, which are kind of the paid version of their measuring system. And there are probably 2/3 of the measures are either directly or indirectly delivered, can be delivered through partnerships with VCSEs. So that's also, kind of very encouraging. And then the next one. Yes. So what we wanted to now kind of finalize this introductory part with is that what are the challenges that businesses usually face in public sector procurement, and especially in social value, and how then VCSEs can help. They're usually related to various aspects of the contract, the industry that companies operate in, also what area they need to deliver the social value, and so forth. And there sometimes it might be feeling that, when you get that public sector tender and social value question, that is almost like impossible to deliver that and say that, okay, how do we do this? We are not even in that location delivering, or we don't have this kind of a resources to give, or so forth. But there are so many different kind of VCSEs in the market. Their needs and delivery methods are so different that even though they would be delivering to same outcome, there might be still a lot of options for finding that's kind of a delivery partner who is then kind of good match for all these aspects, what I just mentioned. And of course, technology will help in finding these matches, because as I mentioned, there are tens of thousands of organizations, and it's impossible to find them just by Googling. And our type of marketplace technology is then key, with the robust data that you can actually find the right kind of organization and become the real match, and kind of make the most of the partnerships. Okay. This is our introduction, and I would now hand back to Rick, who is introducing the panel.
Great stuff. So thank you, Tia. Thank you so much for running us through what Impact do, and how so we fit in the chain of it all. For anybody that is interested in anything that Tia said, feel free to visit our website at whatimpact.com, or feel free to book a demo if you feel like the platform could have any value to you. So the bit that you've all been waiting for, and the bit I'm sure everyone is here, is this discussion that we are going to have now. So I quickly just want to introduce each one of the panelists. So I'm going to hand over to Tia shortly, but I'm going to give everyone an opportunity to introduce themselves. But I'm going to quickly just introduce everyone now. So Jacob Hill, Managing Director of Offploy. We have Sarah Taylor, Business Development Manager at Chapter 1. We have Richard Raynes, CEO of SportInspired. Amy Haworth, she's Interim CEO at The Garden Classroom. And we have Tia Similati, who is our CEO at What Impact. So I'm going to hand over to Tia. We're going to jump into the discussions. Like I said, please feel free, if you have any questions during the discussion, to add them into the chat. I'll be collecting the questions, and we can open up the floor for the question and answer section. So if you want to have any questions before then, you can, or if you want to jump in at the question and answer section, you can also do that. So I'll hand over to Tia, and we'll introduce you to the panelists through their own words.
Okay, so why don't we start with Jacob, and Jacob will tell a little about the amazing organization and what are they doing.
Thank you so much for having us along here today. So we're a social enterprise, and ultimately we support people with convictions to get back on in life I'm an ex-prisoner. I started this organisation 9 years ago, and now we consult corporates on how to benefit from 25% of the working age population, right through to running mentoring projects for the DWP. And just to say, big fans of the What Impact platform. So thanks for having me.
Sarah, you want to go next?
Yes, thanks, Tia, and hello, everybody. So I'm Sarah Taylor. I work for the literacy charity Chapter One, and we run an online reading volunteer program across the UK. We're in 12 locations now and expanding very quickly. What we do is connect corporate volunteers, teams of corporate volunteers with 5 to 8 year olds who are facing disadvantage. So they're in regions of deprivation, and they are connected through our platform, our reading platform, for weekly online reading lessons. And this year we're supporting over 3,000 children across the UK. We have over 150 corporate partners, and many of them focused on social value, increasingly so. So it's been a big driver for us, which is great. And we have had to sort of learn about social value very quickly over the last couple of years because it's so important to many of our partners. So looking forward to the discussion.
Is Richard next? Yeah.
Hi, yeah, Richard Raynes, SportInspired. So we're a national charity helping all kids enjoy being active. We have a burning belief and passion for if every kid wants to be active because they think it's going to be fun and they get an opportunity to do that, they are going to have better lives. They're going to be healthier and happier and more likely to make the best of whatever their future holds. We also help teenagers through youth leadership, again, build their confidence. And we do all of that largely in partnership with businesses through employee volunteering, running multi-sport festivals, setting up after-school sports clubs, and helping a combination of businesses along with councils and housing associations to use community sporting infrastructure to help deprived areas to progress and improve.
Okay, thank you. Amy.
Hello, everyone. Thanks very much for having me. I'm Amy. I'm from the Garden Classroom, and we're an Islington-based charity, and we're focused on outdoor learning and nature connection, and we work with families and children in the main, but also adults on a massive raft of programs that all focus around health and well-being, and it's all about being outside. We're really delighted to be here. It's really great to be able to talk about the opportunities that social value presents to us, and really our vision is of everyone being able to enjoy activities that provide them with lives that are richer, happier, healthier, and more importantly greener and wilder. So that's what we're all about.
Okay, there are great organizations here. Now, first question I would like to set up for the panelists is that what is your kind of theory of change? So what is kind of the philosophy that drives your organization, and what kind of proof of the impact you have? And maybe we start with, let's say, Sarah, if you start.
Okay.
Why is reading important is my question. Yeah.
Right. Well, if you can't read, you can't learn. And if you can't learn, you probably can't get a job. And you're, going to be very dependent on other people for most of your life. You're going to have lower life expectancy, poorer health and well-being. And basically, it's going to have an impact on your community and the economy and business and productivity and so many things. But our vision, our mission is to ensure that every child in the UK has the reading skills they need to thrive. And sadly, 38% of children from disadvantaged backgrounds are getting to the age of 11 and they don't have the skills they should have, the reading skills they should have at that age. So they're already at a huge disadvantage. And we're trying to address that by using technology in a very innovative way to connect the volunteers with the children in the classroom. And support the teachers who are under-resourced, underfunded and overstretched. So that's very much our mission, to be able to help every child in the UK who needs this reading help. And we really believe very strongly that business needs to play a key part in this. Yeah. And that's why we have so many amazing corporate partners who put funding and volunteers into the charity and support us from one year to the next. Because this, at the end of the day, this is their future talent pipeline. So there's a business case for them to support us. It's also great for employee engagement and community engagement, and we help them to deliver their social value.
So next question is to Jacob. I mean, the same question, of course, but you probably in your line of work see a lot of kind of results of, what happens when people don't have skills to read. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, we work with people with convictions. That's not to be confused exclusively with prisoners, though. I understand people end up in the justice system for all sorts of reasons. When a judge sentences someone in the UK, only 8% of people go to prison. 92% of the people get community sentences, community orders, fines, litter picking, etc., etc. Our work is very much around educating employers on how to employ from this cohort. They represent 1 in 4 adults of working age, and they've got huge retention levels, 74% retention after 12 months. That's what Timson celebrates when they employ people with convictions. It's now employers are employing from this cohort, not because they want to, and it's a nice thing to do, which is where we wish people started from, but because they actually need solutions to talent shortages. But you can imagine that giving someone a job gives them a lot of purpose in life, gives them more options, gives them more positive resources in life, and meaning that crime doesn't become the only option to them. We know that employment reduces reoffending, and that makes our society safer. So yeah, I think that's why we do our work. It makes a lot of sense that we can get employers on board or get partners through whatimpact to commission our services to mentor their cohort. For us, it's such a door opener is the whatimpact platform, for sure.
Thanks. Amy, you want to go next?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the impact that we're delivering really is about giving access and equal opportunity to people, for them to have a deep connection with nature and with all the health and well-being benefits that can bring to people, and what that kind of looks like on the ground, because it can sound a little bit kind of fluffy. Well, what are we doing? But what that looks like is every year we run about 1,500 half-day sessions of nature connection activity to about 10,000 unique people. And in any one week, we might have about 30 sessions of children taking part in urban forest school sessions. So we're taking school groups out into their local green spaces, and they're having a really fantastic time through nature-based play and learning, and they're really gaining that sense of a kind of connectedness with their own local environment and learning to be guardians of that environment for the future. We go time and again to a quote by Attenborough, which is to do with that no one will protect things that they have never experienced, and they won't be able to experience them unless people are helping them to experience them. So that's our kind of main mission, really, is to give people equal opportunity to access those kind of activities. So as well as those weekly forest school sessions, we've also got 3 weekly gardening groups, which are for vulnerable adults. We've got 0 to 5-year-olds groups for their parents and carers to come along to as well, all free to attend. We've got a huge education program where we're bringing children along to learn about science, but it's all done outdoors and all done in a hands-on way, so that they're really kind of feeling as though they can understand what it's all about and having that passion and curiosity for it. We've got a bee education program, so we have children getting dressed up in bee suits and going into an apiary and working with the beekeeper. And our kind of big, I suppose, showcase program is happening at the moment. And it happens every year, and it's our countryside program. And what we're doing is we're taking school groups from Islington and Hackney to the countryside for camping residentials. We've got a beautiful field and meadow and copse, and we have bell tents. So it's very much a kind of glamping experience, but the children are doing everything. They're chopping their own firewood, they're cooking together on an open fire, having that campfire experience in the evening, and tons of nature connections. So they're owl spotting in the evening, and they're using bat detectors and all these kind of things, so that they're having those really rich experiences, which we believe, unless we were providing them, they wouldn't have access to. And so we're incredibly busy. We're really working with the children that need it most. There's the kind of growing concept of nature deficit disorder, and really this expresses that lives, especially for children, especially in urban areas, have become narrower and narrower, and their range of experiences are becoming more and more screen based. And so we're really offering the opposite of that. And actually, funnily enough, I got a message from one of our facilitators on the Countryside programme this week, and she quoted a child who'd said, "It's like a screen, but I'm here." And they really would wrap their own head around the fact that they'd never experienced something so colourful, so rich, so vast, and it's that kind of awe and wonder that we're hoping to give to children and families and everybody. So that's the kind of impact that I think we can deliver. It's really about environment, improving environment and improving health and well-being outcomes for children and families who can really massively benefit from it. And we know that it can have a massive impact on their day-to-day lives.
Yeah, it's amazing, and you've been supporting a lot of children with neurodiversity challenges and all that kind of aspect that this nature-related work is super helpful with. But also, Richard, I believe the same case with you through sports.
Yeah, so our belief is that sport is for all. The myth that you get sporty people and unsporty people, and I'm sure on the call today, anyone can identify with that. We believe is just that. So our goal is to prove for all kids, and we focus in areas of high deprivation, that sport can be fun. We set up multi-sport festivals that are designed to be so fun, so inclusive, that even that kid that absolutely cannot be convinced at the start of the day that sport can ever be fun and enjoyable because they've had a bunch of negative experiences. They've been picked last for all sorts of teams many times already. By the end of the day, cracks a smile and has that notion that it can be enjoyable. And if we can then have sport and in fact for our teenagers, leadership as something that they know is helpful to them and something they want to have as a regular part of their life, that can nurture their confidence, their life skills, that can help them to be healthier, and then together that can then nurture aspirations and help them to make the best of their life circumstances. So we are fundamentally what we call a prevent charity. We want to help people to help themselves make the best of their circumstances. How we do that, we run multi-sport festivals. We work in partnership with corporates. Many of our partners will volunteer, so we're very well known for having high quality employee volunteering, and they will help the kids to try those sports, to then hopefully have fun and want to do more of them, and then set up after school sports clubs so that we can then convert that initial enjoyment of being active and that initial enjoyment of being a young leader and convert that into something that becomes a normal part of their everyday lives.
So after hearing all these kind of missions and kind of the outcomes, we can probably all agree that this cohort alone will affect all the National Procurement Policy Statement 5 missions already. So so it's fantastic. But let's get into like the kind of the partnerships with corporates. And now, since partnerships are driven by social value as well, not just CSR or philanthropy, could you kind of state kind of how has it changed your life, and if there is any kind of challenges it has created, and if you have like some kind of a comments how these partnerships could be improved or the processes, how this goes. So now it would be good to have like transparent feedback, kind of how social value works for you. And if Jacob starts, for instance. By the way, Jacob, your your voice was a little bit cracky.
Go on to someone else. I'll come back. Sorry, I'll put another headphone on.
Okay, all right. Well, maybe Amy starts. How has it changed your organization, kind of corporate partnerships?
Yeah, well, we've been running as a charity for 15 years, and over that time, we've really seen a shift around how we can fund different programs. So traditionally, we've worked a lot with trusts and foundations, and a very complex process of applying, which can take, anything up to 6 months to hear back as to whether you're successful, and then you may not be successful. Reporting requirements can be incredibly lengthy, and often we're having to devise projects around to fit a particular grant or a particular trust and foundation's main aims. As the years have developed and we've gained more relationships with corporates, I would say things have really shifted for us in a positive way, and now we have a good balance of funding coming from both of those elements. Some of the ways in which we partner with corporates are, some corporates have a sort of sponsor a school type approach, and they will sponsor one school to take part in their forest school sessions, for example. So all year round, every class in the school gets to come out once a week. And that's a really great way that quite a localized corporate, for example, can help the school that they can see out of their office window. That's a really lovely kind of direct relationship there. We also have corporate relationships where we have co-designed a large-scale program that might last between 1 and 3 years, and that might be really delivering their aims, for example, around sustainability. So we work with a large bank to devise a program of education sessions that delivered education around sustainability and climate change, because that's what they were really interested in doing, and of course that aligns greatly with what we're doing. We also run volunteer opportunities for corporates to come. So that might look like 15 or 20 volunteers from a team coming together and having a day of renovating one of our forest school sites. So we had a group come the other day, a group of lawyers come the other day. And at the start of the day, the site looked really sad because we'd really overused the site. And during the day, they laid new paths, new hedging, new dead hedging with kind of hazel. So they got to use lots of fun tools and things like that, renovated the pond, put in a new log circle, dug a new fire pit. And by the end of the day, it was transformed. And, the children came in the next day and were really excited to see all the changes, So again, real direct impact. I think what I would say for us, challenges of working with corporates and particularly around this sort of social value model that's becoming more a part of how we can do this, is pace. Being able to respond to a request that might come in if a deadline that the corporate is working to can be very short. That can be quite challenging for us to try and piece together a project, a really high quality project, because as you can imagine, we're mapping out our resources quite far in advance. So I would say kind of timelines matter to us greatly, and the longer we have, the more quality experience we can create. But I think in the main, it's the main message I would want to get across is that what is deeply, deeply valuable to us in these kind of relationships is partners who are interested in funding what we know works. So it's much more valuable for us to take our existing programs that we've been running for many, many years, and we really know how to deliver those in an impactful way. And for companies to want to come in and fund those rather than us inventing a project to meet a particular requirement, because we really understand how to work with schools and our stakeholders and to really maximize our work. So I would say that's deeply, deeply valuable to us. And of course, working with platforms, like whatimpact, that's hugely beneficial to us because it just speeds up the ability for us to communicate and report and do all those kind of things and meet everyone's requirements, and it makes it a very streamlined process. So for us, that platform's really, really hugely valuable.
So Jacob,
hopefully it's working now. Is that better?
Yeah, it is.
Perfect.
best. So working with corporates, we've seen a huge shift through the social value teams. Normally we market to HR leaders for our work to employ people with criminal convictions, but the social value department is now getting more agency and more authority to procure services that will cross over into HR and talent management and bits like that, because they're recognizing that employing people with criminal convictions wins bids. Now this works particularly in construction and particularly to suppliers of the Ministry of Justice. These are two distinct groups that we've noticed that are really kind of looking to employ from this cohort in this space. So that's incredibly positive. And we had an organization, we literally joined What Impact platform, and within 2 days of joining, we were already in someone's bid to kind of mentor a cohort of people with criminal convictions within their organization. That's not our bread and butter. Our bread and butter is to teach them how to fish, to do this themselves, but that's what they wanted to put forward in their bid. So having the platform has given me some confidence that we're not just going to be bid candy. And that's my big fear of working with corporates, that they will want us to invest in them before they've won the bid and the contract and the service, which usually I'm okay with doing. But then when they win it and that doesn't materialize to a contract, that can be incredibly frustrating. Through What Impact, there's that level of transparency there as well, that if that practice happens, I've got someone that I can call that out to and say this wasn't very fair how this was acted upon. I don't believe that will happen, and I'm really positive that, as I say, within 2 days of joining the platform, we already had our first bid in. So that's really positive.
Okay, thanks, Jacob. Sarah, how about
Yeah,
you?
well, I think I would go as far as to say that social value has been a game changer for us as a charity. We've always had a corporate partnership model. It's always been where most of our funding and most of our volunteers have come from. But I would say over the last 2 or 3 years, social value has been a huge driver for growth in terms of the corporate partnerships. Our biggest group of corporate partners are now in construction and infrastructure. And we are very often included in bids or helping them to win work because of the fact they're already working with us in certain regions. So we're working with people like Sellafield, Amentum, Atkins, Sodexo, Deloitte, HS2. They're all working either public sector projects themselves, or they've got supply chains and including social value KPIs in their contract. So that's a great model for us. I mean, when we launched in Cumbria, it was Sellafield who came to us and said, we want you to launch in Cumbria and we will make this happen. And they got all their suppliers, so it trickled down through the supply chain to support us. And it's now one of our biggest regional programs in Cumbria. So it's a great model that sort of contracting authority leads the project and gets all their suppliers to support us, which is what happened in Cumbria. Doesn't happen everywhere, but it would be lovely to replicate that. On the more negative side, the challenges, I agree with Amy that very often this is the timing isn't right for the charities. They might come to us once they've already won the contract, and they want to support a school in a particular postcode, and we're not actually in that postcode. So it's not terribly helpful to us when it's so micro local down to postcode. And also the timing. We work on a school year. We want the children to have as many reading sessions as possible over a full school year. So it's not helpful if someone comes to us in the middle of the year and suddenly wants to work with us. So I think what I would say is involve VCSEs as soon as you can in your planning, in your bidding. And we are the experts in these societal challenges. Like education and literacy. We are working in 12 regions across the UK. We understand primary schools and the challenges they're facing. We have those relationships at a local level. So it's so important that the businesses involve VCSEs early on in the project. And that also the communications are improved between VCSEs and businesses. My job is to find new corporate partners. it is so difficult to find the right people in a big company that is, who's working in which region on which project and what's the timing of the project. It's really, really difficult to connect with businesses. I spend my life on LinkedIn and networking. And, there must be better ways of connecting VCSEs with businesses that are looking for VCSEs in a particular region with a particular expertise. And we've got to get better at that. And I think that's, it's great what Impact are doing. There are other platforms and organizations around, but, let's get better at engaging with business and business engaging with VCSEs at the outset.
Great.
So I think that's my recommendation.
How about Richard? You mainly are funded by corporates. You don't really use much grant money, so you have a lot of experience as well.
Yeah, we find that we're a small charity with big aspirations. We work with about 5,000 kids a year, but over the next 3 years, we want to grow that, double that to 10,000 kids a year. We work nationally, although mostly in London. And we find that once we manage to get that introduction, once we manage to have the corporate partner usually to come and see what it is we do, they're blown away. But trying to actually have that conversation, that introduction in the first place, and trying to then persuade them to give up, an hour of their time, 2 hours of their time to come and see it is really tough. So when you don't have that brand name of being a well-known charity, we don't solve cancer, or we don't solve homelessness, or and also the fact of being a prevent rather than a cure charity, there's not this immediate life-changing solution that you can see 2 days, 2 weeks, or 2 months later. So translating that into something that people want to engage with and want to pay for is really difficult. When we do manage to get them down, then they love it. So this is where the likes of What Impact makes a massive difference. The other challenge we have is when we are a partner of an organization. It's almost like, rather than telling everyone about us, they like to share the impact, but that's not the same as saying opening a ton of doors for us, which can easily be done. So there's something about the fact that one of the greatest things that any organization can do for a charity is just to be generous and proactive at making introductions to their networks, and that can really help. So the whole process of getting in front of people and being able to show them what you do is our greatest challenge, and then being seen as a partner rather than a supplier is, I guess, the greatest request I have. And when it can be the most impactful, it's that form of partnership which usually occurs.
Well, thank you. There's been now several points, but I guess it really comes down to that the partnership is a partnership. There are two parties who have mutual goals, and there has to be that willingness to help out, in both ways, and also kind of forming these partnerships takes time, like you said, that start early, kind of see that you are a really good match, and maybe even corporates can build like a nice partnership pool that they can then activate in different contracts rather than chasing new partners for every single contract when it comes, and you have 1 week time to write that bid or something, and you're constantly chasing something rather than being strategic. And that's why, of course, organizations who can cater different areas come to play, that there can be then the scalability and usage in various contract work. Well, thank you very much. Now, Rick, you take the floor, and are there questions for the panelists?
So I've seen a few questions come in. So we've got one from Justin Coleman. Justin has asked, Given that government policies and even the SDGs are subject to change, but charities often long-standing provision, do you think focusing on social value investment and relationships is a more sustainable long-term approach for charities to build momentum rather than continually realigning with shifting government policies? If so, why?
Who wants to take the floor?
You got to focus on what you believe in and then make the case to society about why it needs funding. And even better, once you're clear on that mission and why it's in society's best interests to fund it, then hopefully work out the alignment to the win-win funding for it. I've often felt that the charity sector sometimes could elicit more support and better support by, instead of expecting whatever it is we're trying to be paid for, because it should understanding where the shared value is between the funding that exists and what it is we're trying to do.
Anybody else want to comment? Jacob, you want to say something to this? Is this?
I mean, we've got a very unpopular core mission. No one wants to support a fluffy ex-offender, do they? It's not. It's, you know, if someone who's taken from society, they've been to prison. We've got all the ideas of the media that goes with it. What we've done is we've got our core beliefs that we support in anyone, regardless of conviction, regardless of what conviction type, make society safer for me, my children, all those bits, and for you as the viewer on today's call. Having that core part there, as Richard alluded to as well, is very much a case of you can then build products, offers, whatever it might be, to whoever kind of might want them around that without compromising what your core service is. It's just packaging it up a different way. I read the New Philanthropy Capital report recently, and essentially charities stick to their core service and just repackage up depending what the funder and the bidder is asking for. I'm a big fan of that, but I think that's just because funders and bidders, as Amy said, like, shouldn't come and say, I want it this in this way, in this shape, in this form. They really need to be coming to you to say, what do you do and how can we support that? So if they don't offer that, offer it for them, package it in a way that works for them.
Yeah,
stick to your values.
I think I would add that with any corporate partnership, you have to understand the business case, and there's always a business case. You know, companies are not philanthropic organizations, and they're not going to necessarily do what's right. They're going to do things because you know, they want to do it for their public image, or they want to do it to win a contract. So I think we've just got to understand that as charities and be realistic, and you know, give them what they need, you know, whilst retaining our focus on our core missions. I think data's very key. You know, impact data is really, really important. And you know, whatever you think of the TOMs, you know, and personally, I think it's more about inputs than outcomes. You know, we have to be able to provide them with that data. Volunteering hours is very easy to provide. Getting a value of the impact on a child's reading is more challenging, but you know, we're grappling with that. I think in the UK we're very fortunate because this government and previous governments have been very supportive of social value, which is why where we are with the Procurement Act and everything today. I'm very worried about what's going on in the States, and we're hearing back from some of our more international partners about the pushback on diversity, inclusion, corporate responsibility. You know, they don't have social value in the States, and it's looking unlikely, certainly for the next few years. And that is impacting a lot of charities and a lot of programs in the States, and also having an impact on some of the international companies who are in the UK. So I think that's something to be concerned about. But I think in the UK, we're doing really well on social value, and it's a really, really positive thing for charities.
Rick, is there any other questions?
No other questions in the chat at the moment.
Anybody? If there is anything now, it's time to ask. Yeah, but I think if I can conclude, I think that's a really good way to put it, that you can package charity impact in various ways, because most of the courses and programs have so many outcomes. So even from Amy's point of view, you can take the climate change, the nature aspect, you can take mental health, you can take inclusion, so if there is an outcome target or whatever, the funder wants to reach, you can shape that outcome, but it still doesn't change the program per se. Like Jacob said, packaging it in a way that suits. And I think that's a good way to put it. Well, thank you so much, everyone. I think we are running out of time in a couple of minutes, so I will now thank everybody who joined and everybody who was involved, all the speakers, and thank you, Rick, for managing all this this process and everything. So we will be editing the recording, and it will be then put on YouTube, and we will be sharing it on our YouTube channel. And anybody here listening, whether you are a charity, please sign up to the platform. If you are a corporate, sign up to the platform. Everybody can sign up for free. And also the public sector organizations, if you want to hear more about our offer to public sectors for your localized marketplace, please get in touch. Thank you very much and have a great rest of the day.